Hello and welcome to the June 5th edition of the Thursday Night Thunder podcast with AJ and MMK. This is episode 21 of the series. I'm your host, Adam Jason Sinclair, and tonight on the most hardcore program on the internet, Mike and I once again bring you the best discussion about the world of modern motorsports. Hitting the halfway point in the 2025 season, the Congruity NHRA Pro Mod Series will be in the heart of Pro Mod country at the scenic Bristol Dragway, as part of this weekend's 24th annual Super Grip NHRA Thunder Valley Nationals. It is the fifth of 10 events during the NHRA Pro Mod season, and this weekend's event in Thunder Valley is powered by Cardinal Insurance. It also serves as the penultimate race in the Congruity NHRA Pro Mod regular season, putting even more emphasis on strong performance at Bristol.
Chris Thorne defeated J.R. Gray in the final round last season in Thunder Valley, and Gray has enjoyed a stellar 2025 thus far, leading the points heading into the critical race at one of the marquee stops in the Pro Mod category. Due to possible pending weather, NHRA officials announced a schedule change for Friday's two Mission Foods Drag Racing Series qualifying sessions for the Super Grip NHRA Thunder Valley Nationals at Bristol Dragway. Friday sessions in Pro Stock Motorcycle and Pro Stock have been moved up to 3 and 5:30 p.m. Eastern, with Funny Car and Top Fuel to follow at 4 and 6:30 p.m. Racing in the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series is scheduled to begin at 8 a.m. Eastern on Friday.
NHRA will announce further schedule changes to the weekend if needed. Updates will also be posted on NHRA.com and NHRA's social media channels. To purchase tickets to the Super Grip NHRA Thunder Valley Nationals, fans can visit nhra.com/tickets. For more information about the NHRA, visit nhra.com. Now, I don't know if you watched any of the NHRA racing this past weekend. I know there were some rumors that John Force is thinking about getting back into the car. That was after the incident that Jack Beckman had this past weekend. I know those rumors have since been quashed, but doesn't seem like Jack Beckman's having as stellar of a season as he could be. He's not exactly the young man he was. He's never really been young in the NHRA series, but he's definitely not as young as he was a few years ago. And it seems like since John Force left the team, it's sort of lost its direction, at least a little bit. How do you feel about the John Force racing and the NHRA in general for this season?
I think the NHRA, I think they always kind of have a good season. As far as, John Force Racing, I would agree with you. I do think maybe John Force himself was partially, the glue that held them all together. I think, I'm glad that those were just rumors and he's not actually thinking of getting back in a car. I think at some point you have to realize, the worth of your life, really, I guess. I don't know, but I do agree. But and it's kind of weird because you would think his daughters too, I think Brittany's really the only one that drives right now, but you would kind of think maybe things wouldn't fall apart as much, since she's been around it obviously her whole life. You'd think maybe she could be kind of like a glue herself, maybe. I don't know, but I do agree with you. He's the one that held it all together, it seems. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that I agree that Brittany Force should be the one who picks up the mantle at least a little bit, as well as some of the other people in the Force family who are still involved in the team. But for whatever reason, I think John Force is the guy who was sort of the overwhelming person who held the not only the personality of the team, but held the sponsors in line and everything else. And it just sort of seems that since his incident there, and in fact he's never really fully recovered, and I don't think he ever really will. It's slowly falling apart, and it's not really a good thing. But it's one of those things. Also, when I watched the NHRA event the other day, I noticed that almost half the field they're not nationally named drivers. They're people who just sort of show up. Some of them are in older equipment, that sort of thing. We've talked about that before, but the NHRA has some issues, as does other motorsports as well. But they're doing their best to try and keep it going, and they do an excellent job of keeping the grandstands full. They don't have the best TV package in the world, which is unfortunate, but it's really an entertaining form of motorsports, and I wish there were races a little closer to me here, but it is what it is in that respect, and we'll just keep moving forward, and hopefully in the future something happens here that drag racing returns to South Florida, because right now it's a heck of a drive to get to Gainesville, heck of a drive to get to Bradenton, that sort of thing, and I just wish it was a lot closer.
You're right, though. I didn't think of it like that. There are a lot of new names, coming across the screen, and even on TikTok and stuff, I'm seeing there's just a lot. But my question for you is, is it, I don't want to say easier, but is it almost, I guess I'm going to say easier to get into NHRA type racing as opposed to NASCAR? I'm only going off of the fact that you don't really see as many new names and stuff in all the NASCAR series as
Mhm.
you just said that we do kind of in the NHRA. So is it harder to get into NASCAR than like
I think we
NHRA?
Yeah, I think it would be a lot harder to get into NASCAR just because of the way it's laid out, the way the team system and all that. There was another development that we'll get into that a little bit more later in the program, but the way the teams are laid out, the way the technology is, and all that. NHRA technology is definitely advanced, but as I shared with you earlier today, there's always another team that seems up for sale in the NHRA. Plus, the ladder system is different, and it's just easier for people to come up from the bottom up to get into the National Hot Rod Association. A lot easier than it would be for other series.
That makes sense.
Mhm. When drivers have their right foot smashed onto the floorboard, their throttle wide open as they run more than 190 miles per hour, fuel efficiency is not top of mind. But Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, the conundrum of balancing outright speed and maximizing fuel mileage is ever present. The 2 mile oval in the state's Irish Hills region produces some of the fastest speeds at the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Its sweeping corners, banked at 18 degrees, grant drivers the ability to go it wide open, or at least attempt to, based on how much grip their tires and their own grit allow.
As drivers push these boundaries, they also push how far their car's 18-gallon fuel cell can take them. For as many Michigan races have been won by brute strength, seemingly just as many have been won by those who drive as if there was an egg between their foot and the gas pedal. Ford owns a series best 44 Cup victories at Michigan, including a recent streak of 9 straight that began in June 2018 and lasted all the way through the 2023 Firekeepers Casino 400.
Fuel Strategy delivered more than a few of those wins. Among that run of 9 consecutive victories was Kevin Harvick's win in August 2019, when he stretched his fuel for 48-lap green flag run to the finish. The Firekeepers Casino 400 begins Saturday at 9:30 a.m. when practice. Qualifying for the Firekeepers Casino 400 follows at 10:40 a.m. Sunday's 200-lap race begins at 2 p.m. All the action will be broadcast live by Prime Video and SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. Now, Prime has had a really interesting few weeks. Their ratings are way up compared to other events that have been on the air, which is great. But their ratings are different because the it seems like Prime is attracting a younger audience, a demographic from the 18 to 49 demographics way up on Prime, but people over the age of 49 are not watching quite as much. I think that's a lot to do with the general demographic of Prime Video. So something that NASCAR is going to have to look at in the future. And I think that they're really happy with the fact that they're picking up new fans. And I think it's a really good broadcast they've got. I talked about that a little bit the other week. It's really cool how they're doing it, and I think it's a really good thing for NASCAR. Are you a race car driver, crew chief, pit member, track owner, maybe a huge fan of the sport? Contact us to get your spot on the show. After all, you deserve your 15 minutes of fame, and we'd love to hear from you. The easiest way to do that is to go to Thursday Night Thunder Podcast.podbean.com. There's a little contact us section down at the bottom of the webpage. You can get that information there. Now, I know had a good chance to watch most of the 600 the other day, and in Charlotte. How did you like that race? It seemed like it was kind of split into different segments, with Byron dominating the beginning, and of course the Chastain winning in the end. How did you like the race? What do you think it? How do you think it was?
I thought it was very entertaining. I thought it was a good race. I'll be honest, that's one of, other than like, like the Daytona 500 and, the stuff that, America's races, that kind of stuff. That's really the first NASCAR race that I have been able to sit and watch pretty much the whole thing. I would have watched the whole thing if I would have got up in time. So I woke up and I caught the last, I can't remember how many stages it was, but I caught like the last, I don't know, a lot of laps. I know I caught 3/4 of the race, and it was good. It was good. It kept my attention, and yeah, it was good. And like you said, Byron, there were a few cars that could have won it, but yeah, that finish was really good. That finish was really cool. What do you think of the NASCAR race?
I thought it was really really good as well. I like the commentators. I like the fact they're doing things a little bit different. I like the content was really good. The fact they didn't focus as much as some of the off track things as some of the Fox broadcasts was on in the past, especially this year. And I thought that the focusing on what was going on the track was really good. It was really a great way of producing it. It was a great broadcast. I didn't get a chance to watch any of the race from Nashville this past weekend. I'm kind of looking forward to watching a little bit of Michigan on Sunday and maybe a little bit this weekend. Maybe the little bit of the truck race tomorrow and possibly the Xfinity race on Saturday. But definitely some of the Cup race on Sunday should be pretty good. And on Sunday, the timing is a little bit better. The past few weeks has been evening races. Sunday, it's an afternoon race. It's 1:30 p.m. So when the broadcast starts, so that'll be a little more convenient, and it should be a really good event there for Michigan. Michigan's had a storied history. They're a little bit different track. They have a Dale Earnhardt Jr. of course has done really really well in the past, which he's excited about broadcasting from the broadcast booth. This is a good history there at the track. Um, and I think it'll be cool to see who does well there. I don't know if Chastain will be able to repeat from Charlotte from 2 weeks ago, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes. So it should be good. Who's your favorite going into Michigan this weekend?
Well, I don't know. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's actually, like I said, though, I haven't kept up on all of the races, a select few, but it seems like it's actually been a fairly good season for NASCAR. Like, it seems like
Mm-hmm.
people are enjoying it. And I don't know. And that's the thing. It's kind of a little bit, it seems unpredictable. It seems, like kind of seasons in the past, it's been a little bit predictable. You're like, oh, Kyle Busch is gonna, So I feel like it's a little bit more unpredictable, and I think it's cool. It's cool. So I don't really have a favorite
Mm-hmm.
because it seems just so unpredictable right now.
I agree, and I think that that's kind of the good thing about it. There's a lot of parity there, but as they talked before as we talked a few minutes ago about the NHRA, where they've got a lot of new people coming in and they don't have the full fields they used to have and that sort of thing. Even in NASCAR, they only have a 38 car field most of the time, and the field limit on in the Cup Series is 40. Today's decision in by the appeals court that removes the charter protection from 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports might have a little bit of impact going into the future. A lot of that impact will be on the purses, of course, and they did appeal again today, so that won't have any immediate impact, of course. But seems like that lawsuit that goes back and forth seemed like the teams were way ahead for a while, and now NASCAR has the upper hand. But in the end, I don't think anybody wins. It's one of those sort of things where they're devaluing the charter system by fighting over it as much as they are. Um, Especially if they end up taking away the charters from those teams. I don't think anybody's going to buy them. There's not really a budget for it in most cases, and it's just not really a good thing for the future of competition in the Cup Series.
Yeah. So is that coming to a close? That whole case? Is it
No,
about
it's
over?
not coming. It's not coming to a close. It's just sort of back and forth a lot, and the latest thing was an appeal that was they basically dropped the injunction against NASCAR that allowed the teams to have their charters, 2311 and Front Row. However, that was appealed immediately, so they still have their charters, but as of right now, the lawsuit is definitely going NASCAR's way. So they may not have those charters for very long, but they'll have them for at least the next couple months, and there really isn't that much longer left in the season. But it would be a bad thing if they lost the Chargers right before the playoffs, and then all of a sudden the money changes and some of the teams decide that some of the drivers might decide that it's not worth finishing out the season, and it just gets too complicated.
Mm.
It'll be something to see how it goes, and it's always been a back and forth between them, and it's not necessarily the good thing. Like I said, it's not the best thing for the charter system. It's not good for the value of those charters, and it's definitely not good for the teams or the drivers.
No. So, do you think? Well, I guess how come more teams haven't kind of fought the system?
They were trying. There were rumors before that other teams were going to do the same thing. They weren't going to sign the charter agreement, but I think that the main reason they didn't fight it is that they want the money. The charter system guarantees a certain similar to there's a similar system in IndyCar where it guarantees a certain percentage of the revenue of the teams for TV revenue and that sort of thing. It's given to the teams if you have a NASCAR charter. So by signing on to the charter system, they get a higher percentage of that. Their purses are higher and all that. So it just makes them more money.
That makes a lot of sense. Dang.
Mm-hmm.
So then why? I mean, I know we've been through this, but the way you just put it, that it almost makes it sound like the charter is almost better to do it that way. It's almost better to.
Well, but it gives NASCAR all the power. That's always been the issue. They don't want NASCAR to decide how the money's split and that sort of thing. They want the teams to have a bigger, more of a vote at the table because NASCAR is just supposedly the one group of people there in Charlotte or Daytona, whatever. It depends on the however you look at it. And the teams are the people who compete every week. There's a lot more drivers and teams than there are the NASCAR people. NASCAR takes basically 2/3 of the money because they run the sanctioning body, and in more than 90% of the races they own the tracks as well. So
Okay. Now I'm truly getting it.
yeah, so then the drivers and the teams say they're the ones that take the most risk. They're the people who show up there week after week, and they think that they need at least they deserve at least half the money and not the 1/3 that they have to split up now.
Oh wow. Yep, that makes so. Yeah, because I guess the half split up would definitely go further than the 1/3. But you'd think the
Mm-hmm.
1/3 would still. Does NASCAR? I mean, they're successful, but do they make a lot like from their commercials and stuff?
They make a lot from the commercials. They make a lot from the TV packages from the because they're unlike other racing series. We actually have to pay a little bit to the TV people to cover the races, and then they make the money off sponsors and all that. NASCAR has the like the NFL, basically like the NFL. NASCAR gets paid for their broadcast. They get the networks, whether it's the normal networks like Fox, that sort of thing, or whether it's Amazon, or it'll be the Warner Brothers Discovery people when they have the Max races in another month or so. Whoever it is, they pay the NASCAR a fee to have the broadcast rights for those races, and that's how it goes. So the I don't know exactly how many millions it is. I know it's probably right about maybe more than $10 million a year now. It's a decent amount of money, and it comes out to the where basically 2/3 goes to the NASCAR umbrella there, and the rest ends up being split between all the teams.
Wow. Yeah, I guess I could see why they'd be a little bit irritated.
Mm-hmm. And they have
But
a good
then,
argument, but it just hasn't gone the way that they want in court as much. And the fact that the other teams didn't fall in line as Denny Hamlin and Bob Jenkins and other people thought they would, it makes it a lot more difficult.
well, I imagine probably makes for kind of an awkward season with them, I would think.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. And sort of but I think that in some ways, they let their attorneys deal with it that way, and they don't even think about it. And then in other ways, they know, especially Michael Jordan, who's not hands on as much, and he's more of the money guy, and other investors as well. They know what's going on. So
Hmm.
it's definitely a an interesting thing. It'll change the way the motorsports are run. Um, Whether it changes it for the better or for the worse is yet to be seen, and whether it changes not only NASCAR but other series as well. Because, like I stated, the IndyCar runs the same sort of thing. Um, that'll be something too.
Does IndyCar ever have charter problems like NASCAR?
At one point, they did, but it wasn't, and that was actually how many years ago. Now it's probably I think the 70s when the USAC basically had lost their power to the teams, the championship auto racing teams, CART, which took over IndyCar, and then after that, CART had the split between themselves and the Indy Racing League, which was all about money and control and power and everything else too, um, and tracks and all that. And then after that, then the Indy Racing League failed because they sort of just it became really a little bit of a more difficult than what they anticipated, and the cost was higher to maintain the facilities and run the series and all that. Um, so then, from there, the Indy Racing League uh, went back in with IndyCar, and then IndyCar tried to go public, and then after that, when the public offering basically failed, IndyCar was bought out by Penske, and then we're where we are now, which is it's basically a private company, part of Penske Entertainment, and they've got their own set of issues related to the cheating scandal that they had in the Indy 500 and all that. So it becomes a little bit more of a complicated thing, and I'm sure that NASCAR is definitely looking at that, saying they don't want that sort of thing to happen where it splits up and they get into problems as well.
Well, it will be interesting to see what they conclude.
It will, and it'll be something. And the fact that there's been some changes in other series in the past is something that they're all watching too, and you'll see how it goes. So it'll be something, and I don't think there's any easy answers. And whatever happens, nobody will be happy in the end, and that's generally the way it goes. But they'll just keep moving, and hopefully it doesn't hurt the sport at all. That's all we can hope for. Moving on from there, the Progressive American Flat Track Series, sanctioned by AMA Pro Racing, will conclude its unprecedented run of 6 consecutive short tracks to open the 2025 campaign with the inaugural short track at Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri, on Saturday the 7th. This weekend marks the Grand National Championship's 20th visit to the Show Me State, although just its second in the last 20 years.
Previous stops were hosted by Wentzville, St. Louis, Sedalia, Joplin, and Odessa, with Wheatland now set to join that list. An all-new racing venue known as Wheatland Raceway opened on the east side of town in 2001. Within 5 years, new ownership completely transformed the facility with a multi-million-dollar renovation that resulted in Lucas Oil Speedway, aka the Diamond of Dirt Track. featuring a pristine 3/8 mile clay oval, a 1.2-mile off-road track and go-kart circuit, and the drag boat friendly Lake Lucas, and top-notch facilities and amenities to boot. Lucas Oil Speedway represents a full half of Wheatland in terms of acreage and stands as a national powerhouse on the four-wheeled dirt track racing scene.
The addition of the world's greatest two-wheeled dirt track racers only further cements the venue's outstanding reputation. General admission grandstand tickets to the short track at Lucas Oil Speedway are just $25, with kids under 12. Kids 12 and under free with a paid adult ticket, while reserved grandstand tickets are available for $40 for all ages. Students can purchase a general admission grandstand ticket for just $20 at the gate the day of the event with a valid ID. There are multiple options to enjoy the facility's 21 VIP luxury suites, starting with an individual suite ticket for $99, which includes a private outdoor box seat along with access to the indoor lounge.
Private indoor suites are available for groups of up to 18, $2,000, and 30, $3,000, both of which include infield group experience with a guided tour of the infield podium and start/finish line, photo op included, and early race viewing from the infield. Also available for purchase is the opening ceremony's trackside fan experience for $99, which includes reserved seating, a guided tour of the infield podium, start/finish line, photo opportunities included, and an up-close viewing of opening ceremonies and a portion of the night's race action. Finally, fans have the option to purchase the practice viewing trackside fan experience as a $25 upgrade to a GA, general admission grandstand, or reserved grandstand ticket, which provides a guided tour of the infield podium, start-finish line, photo opportunities included, and an up-close viewing of a practice session.
Gates will open for fans at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 o'clock Pacific, with the opening ceremony scheduled to begin at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. For those that can't catch the live action from the circuit, Flow Racing is the live streaming home of progressive AFT Motorsports. Motorsports fans can subscribe to Flow Racing to enjoy over 1,000 live motorsports events in 2025. Flow Sports is available by visiting flowsports.link/AFT or by downloading the Flow Sports app on iOS, Android, Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, and Chromecast. Fox Sports coverage of the short track at Lucas Oil Speedway, featuring in-depth features and thrilling onboard cameras, will premiere on Fox Sports 1 on Sunday, June 15th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific. For more information on Progressive AFT, visit AmericanFlatTrack.com. Now, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing some of the American Flat Track action in the future. Might end up going up there next year for the race in Daytona. I've been invited the past couple of years, just haven't made it up there for one reason or another. So hopefully this next year it'll work out. It does look like an interesting series of things there, and the motorcycle events in Daytona are always insane. And not only the stuff on track, but the stuff behind the scenes. And I'm sure the stuff there at Lucas Oil Speedway will be just as intense. So it should be a really good weekend. And if you're able to head out there to the Lucas Oil Speedway, I'd invite you to. It should be really good. Have you ever been to a motorcycle race?
No, but my dad has a friend whose son, and will have to ask my dad. I can't remember the kid's name, and right now I can't even remember the dad's name really. But I'll ask my dad. Maybe we can try to get him on the show. But my dad's friend's son was the youngest the youngest, but he was rated like number one or something in whatever series he was in, but in the world for flat track. And I always thought that was kind of cool. That's how I kind of learned about it. I seen like videos and stuff, but I never really, I'm not going to say knew, but thought too much of it until this little kid came along. And so I've watched kind of a little bit more. I've never been to a race. I've watched some of them online, and it looks cool. It looks cool. I couldn't ever even attempt it, but it does look interesting.
Yeah, I think that motorcycle racing is really quite a sport. There, some of the stuff's really insane. The sidecar racing that they do on the short tracks and on the big tracks is just crazy. The only motorcycle event I've actually been to. I've seen all the stuff on TV, of course, but I've had the chance to go to the Moto America, Moto GP event there at Homestead. It's going back quite a few years, not too long, I suppose, but enough years. Going back a while, and we got to hang out there on pit road and watch that a little bit, and that was really, really awesome. So I think it's really cool to see different forms of motorsports. All a little bit different, and like I said, the best way to go see them is to actually head to the facility, go out to the track, and experience it for yourself. Because seeing it online or seeing it on television is totally different. Once you've been to the track, you need to go back. It's something that you should you definitely start enjoying a lot more. And when you're not able to go there as much as you used to, you start to miss it. So it's a really good thing. And if you have a chance to head out to your local racing facility, I advise you to do so. There aren't as many of them as used to be, and unless people go out to them, there'll be even fewer in the future.
That's true. Kind of sad when you put it that way.
Yeah. And for those of you who are fans of local racing, as I stated, we'd love to have you on the show. We'd love to promote some other local tracks in the future here on this program. Anybody who's anywhere around the country who needs a little bit of extra promotion, we're here for you. We'd love to talk to you. So be sure to contact us. Go to Thursday Night Thunder Podcast.podbean.com. And with that, I'd like to thank all of you for listening. We did skip over a few things this week, but as you know, it's been a busy time of year. So for those of you who are interested, I will be doing a little bit more online for my on the Motorsports News and Views website to post information about the Indy 500. Congratulations, Alex Pillow, for winning that. I'll also be posting a little bit more information about the NASCAR racing coming up this weekend, as well as some of the Formula Drift events that took place this past week in Orlando, and other events around the area as well, including the Formula E race that took place a couple weeks ago. So be sure to check that out on my Motorsports News and Views website. And with that, be sure to check out the past episodes of Thursday Night Thunder by visiting facebook.com/SD Thursday Night Thunder. Listen to previous episodes of this show on the Thursday Night Thunder Podcast, Thursday Night Thunder Podcast.podbean.com, or on Podchaser, which I think is really cool to find it there at podchaser.com/Thursday Night Thunder with AJ and MMK. You can also find the show on iHeartRadio, Boomplay, Spotify, and Player FM, as well as on YouTube at youtube.com/ForBorePlums, FABORPLUMBS. If you'd like to support the show, be sure to check out the new fan club feature on the Podbean app, or visit podbean.com/user-live-fan club/1123570-DP-DY4. I know it's a mouthful, but you can also simply go to facebook.com/SD Thursday Night Thunder for more details. It's one of the pinned posts up at the top of the page there. I also invite you to check out my new racing news site, fairly new anyway, at motorsportsnewsandviews.wordpress.com. As I said, I'll be posting some more information on there probably this weekend, probably a little bit on Saturday, maybe a little bit more on Sunday. I did go through and review some of the information I'll be posting, so I got that organized and ready to go out this weekend. In addition, if you're a fan of South Florida, and who isn't, be sure to check out the latest news and information about our slice of paradise at my travel blog, Rorbland's Fantastic Finds, which can be found on Facebook, on Twitter by going to, or now known as X, by going to @PBHappening is the easiest way to find that, and by heading to Plum's Fantastic Finds, that's FABORPLUMBS, fantasticfinds.wordpress.com.
Thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you again next week in the Thunderdome as we discuss the major issues in the world of modern auto racing.
Thanks again, and have a great night.